Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Cooper's Commercial Match Angling. Today we're at the lovely Carrs Lakes again. Due to the fact it's locked down, it's only 3 minutes from our house. But instead of fishing halcyon today, which we always fish, we've brought you to Lake One. The temperatures have come up a bit now, the lakes have got a bit of colour, and there's a few fish on the move. They're not having a lot of bait, but they are eating a little bit of bait. It's a cold day with a strong wind. Even though it's a westerly wind, it's still got a bite to it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be doing it early spring method feeder fishing. If that's good, what we potentially might do is ping a bomb line with a few pellets and hopefully drop on that last couple of hours, maybe catch another few fish on the bomb and pellet or even the method. So now let's take you to the peg. We're on peg 30 on Lake One. I'll show you my bait, my rigs, my setup, and hopefully we'll get that rod pulled round and catch a few fish. Right guys, let's talk you through the setup. Basically very simple. My old faithful 10-foot tournament rod, lovely soft rod, lovely soft tip so we can see them liners. We've got TDX reel with 8-pound Map Optimum. You'll have seen me load this on one of my other videos. Always put a bit of washing up liquid on it, carry a bit with me as well, just so that we can sink that line, especially if we've got windy conditions. But what I'm going to show you today is how I like to let the line sink really slowly through the fish to see whether we've got any fish out there, to see if we can find some liners. If you sink your line too quick, sometimes you don't see them liners. So I'll show you that and I'll talk you through that as we're fishing. We've got a 24-gram hybrid feeder with me old faithful elasticated stems that again you've seen a video. Got this from Rob Wotton. Great little tip basically. Little snap link swivel, nice bit of soft elastic, and also the snap link swivel fits inside the feeder like you'll have seen on my video, creates that little bolt effect. We've got a 3-inch hook length to a 14 Kaizen. The reason for that is I'm going to start on an expander hooked. Because it's still cold and the fish are just waking up, I think they'll respond better to a soft hook bait. If they pick up a hard hook bait, they might reject it, therefore we won't get as many bites. So we're going to fish a soft expander, start with micros, but we will have some other baits on our side tray for an impact bait. We've also got other hook lengths, so we can use hard pellets, we can use washers, we can even punch a bit of meat on a quick stop. So basically I'll talk you through the different hook bait options that we've got, and also the different baits that we can put in the feeder to get an impact as we're fishing. I'll talk you through that. The other rod, again 10-foot tournament, exactly the same reel line, but this time I've got 2/3 of an ounce bomb, again in line with an elasticated feeder, exactly the same. And then we've got a 15-inch to an 8mm pellet banded on a 12 QM1, again 0.17 hook length. I may shorten that hook length down if I feel we're getting signs and the fish are picking the hard bait up and rejecting it. Sometimes shortening it to a 12-inch, a 6-inch, basically it'll hook you more fish, because sometimes they will pick the pellet up, they will reject it and you don't realise that that's happening. So it pays to keep a good eye on your tip and watch for them little indications, because potentially they could be carp spitting your hook bait and you don't realise. So shortening that hook length down can catch you a few more fish. So what I'll do now, I'll go through the bait in a little bit more detail and then we'll get started fishing and I'll talk you through the approach on the bait. Right guys, now let's talk you through the bait. So we've got some 2mm micros, just Screttons micros, water on, water off, and then basically it allows me then to add a little bit of water to get that binding quality back. You can see they are binding now, but they're breaking up. What'll happen is they're still hard inside, so they've got a soft exterior but a hard interior, so we can basically add a little bit more water as we go and get that binding power back. We've got some green betaine pellets. Basically what I'll do is, after we've used the normal pellets, to get like an impact, I'll try the green betaine or a mix between the both, because there's a lot of smell, a lot more attraction in the betaine pellets. Again, done exactly the same, water on, water off. They're binding lovely now, but I can add water as I go if they dry out. I've got a pint of ground bait, just method mix. Basically, if when all bites dry up and we stop getting signs, by adding a little bit of ground bait you can get that impact and you can draw some more fish into your peg and hopefully get a few more bites. If you stick to the pellets, sometimes you run out of bites. Our hook bait options, as I said, I'm going to start on a a nice soft hook bait, so a nice 4mm expander. I've also got some Dynamite white soft hookers as a change bait, and then basically we've got loads of different colour washers we can use on a spike. I'll show you the hook lengths. Some nice Robin Red 4, 6 and 8mm pellets, and just our box standard 8mm pellets that we're going to ping on that bomb line if the method feeder fishing's good. So now let's go back down to the peg, show you how we're going to approach the start of the session, and hopefully do a bit of fishing, catch a few fish. Right guys, we're now ready to start the session, so I'm just going to talk you through my approach. So as you can see, to my left I've got a lovely island. It's quite a long island, and then obviously to my right I've got some open water and a smaller island. My thought process is I know the fish move up and down that island, so what I'm going to do initially is I'm going to start. You can see there's like a dead tree stump being cut off there. That's recently been done by the fishery owners, so I know there's a few snags in that area, so I'm just going to start just past that where there's a few reeds, and I'm going to start a metre off the bank, so not quite into the shallow water. The reason being is I don't want to go to my limit right up to the top of the island, so I'm going to start halfway along, hopefully get a few fish, and then if the fish back off, obviously I've got the full half of that long island to cast and move with the fish basically as they back off. The plan in the open water is basically if the fishing's good, like I said, and we start catching a few fish and the fish are feeding, what I'll do is I'll pick up some 8mm pellets and I'll start pinging 2s and 3s into the open water at about 20 metres. Basically I'll build that up for a couple of hours, and then I'll chuck the bomb and pellet over the top, and then possibly the method, and hopefully catch another few fish at the end. So let's get a bit of fishing done. We're going to start on the micros, on the method only, just the 2mm screttings like we said earlier, and a soft expander. First cast, I've clipped up a metre off the island, as I said, halfway along, so let's have a chuck and see what happens. So pick a nice rubbery expander. Some people use quick stops with these. I prefer to hook them onto a size 14 Carson, as I said earlier. They obviously mask the hook really well, but these Carsons are really sharp. So we're just going to put a few micros in, gently tap them down, put a little hole in, drop our expander into that little hole, and then just cover it over again with a few more micros. Gentle little press. I don't want to compress that bait too hard into the method because I do want it to come out. Okay, here we go. So the thing is, when you're casting as well, is a problem a lot of people have is they wind the feeder too close to the top of the rod. So basically they can't compress the rod enough to cast fluently, and they end up chucking. It goes in like a lead balloon. So we want to cast, hit the clip, feather it down, nice little plop. There we go, perfect. So we're about a metre off the island there, in line with that big tree. So another little tip is, a lot of people basically sink the line straight away. What I want to do is I'm going to leave the line on the top of the water, and I'm just going to tighten up ever so gently, just because I want to see whether there's any fish actually out there, to see if I get any liners. So as that line sinks through the water, if there's any fish cruising about, potentially we might get a couple of liners as we tighten up, where if you tighten up straight away, you won't actually see them liners. We'll just set the rod. We've got a front and a back rest, so it's comfortable fishing. We're not going to be getting bite after a couple of minutes or a minute. You know, we're going to be waiting probably 3, 4, 5 minutes. One thing I will do is, I've got my stopwatch here on my phone. I'll just set that, now I've set the feeder up, and I'll probably start with about 8-minute casts and see what happens. I haven't been on this lake for a long time, so I don't actually know whether, you know, I'm going to get bites quick or not. So we'll try 8 minutes, see if we get any signs, and hopefully we'll start to see a pattern of when them bites emerge, and then we can maybe shorten our casts, or potentially if we don't get any indications, we might have to leave it out there 10-15 minutes. Hopefully fish are moving about now. You know, I would hope that we'll have some signs within that 8 minutes. So I'll just keep an eye on that stopwatch. I like to keep my tip fairly close to the water as well, basically so that all of my line is under the surface. Once it's sunk, once we set the rod up, all the line's under the surface so we're not getting any tow. Sometimes if it's really windy and choppy, I will just submerge my tip. What I'm also looking for as well is, I'm looking for the tip to be in touch with the feeder, but I don't want the tip pulled right round. Basically I want a tight line to my feeder, but I want a slackish tip so that I can see all the little indications if we get any. If you pull your rod right round tight to the feeder, basically you're reducing your chances of actually seeing them indications because your tip's already bent. With this early spring method feeder fishing, it's not really about building a peg up, it's more about, there we go, fish on. So that's good first cast. Nice fish by the feel of it. So basically what happened there is the rod bounced round, the tip bounced round and then just dropped back. Well, again, keep the rod nice and low to the water, same as we do with the pole. And it's definitely a carp, it's not a skimmer. I don't want to lift that rod up at all until I can see the feeder basically. Thing with these carp generally, if you keep them coming, they swim towards you. So just keep pumping that line. So I can just start to see the feeder. Looks like a nice mirror carp. So that lovely elastic stem doing the work, absorbing all the shocks, all them lunges, and this lovely 10-foot tournament rod. Putting up a good account for itself. Here it comes. There we go, first one in the net. So a nice mirror, probably about 3.5 pound. Hopefully he's hooked in the bottom lip, which he is bang on nicely in the bottom lip. And that formal expander. Just hold him up there for the camera. Lovely little fish. Let's get him in the net. So as you can see, that's a great start. First cast, micros, formal expander on the hook. So like I said, that nice soft bait. I don't think they want to be picking them hard baits up. And the tip just, one little nod and then a few little taps and it just went slack. So the fish just basically picked it up, hooked itself. Perfect example what method feeder fishing's all about. Find ourselves a nice formal expander again. Just roll that on that 14 Kaizen. Fill the base of the hybrid up, just gently. Put a little hole in for the expander so we don't over squash it. And then a few micros over the top. Gentle squeeze. So we want that bait to come off. And always make sure that that snap-link swivel on our elastic stem is pushed inside the feeder so you get that little bolt effect. Here we go again. The same process, same area. Hit that clip, perfect. Exactly the same spot in line with that tree. Again, I'm not going to sink the line. Just gently tighten up so we can see if we get any liners. What a great start. First cast, fish. Obviously shows that we're doing something right. If we get another couple of fish, like I said, what I'll probably do is I'll pick up these 8mm pellets and I'll start pinging a line about 20 metres out into the open water in line with that other island. Potentially we could have a good run of fish there late on if we build it up. Just with 2 or 3 pellets, not a lot of bait, could have a good finish. Just get that rod a little bit lower to the water. The beauty of having a backrest, your hands are free. You can keep them warm in your pockets, or you can feed some bait. If that sun gets up later, potentially we might chuck tighter to the island. At the moment we're about 1 metre off the island, probably in about 3 foot of water. Tight to the island you can find maybe 2 foot, 1.5 foot. So if it does get warmer and the fish do have a munch, potentially we might cast tight to the island, catching that shallower water. And that bite came roughly after 4 minutes. So I'll just check the time again on my stopwatch and we'll see what happens. Again, I'm going to aim to leave it out there 8 minutes if needs be, but with that bite coming so quick after 4 minutes, you know, it looks like there's a few fish there. Well, that sun's coming out now. It's warming me up. Lovely. Can't see the tip right like, but it's keeping me nice and warm. Right, so we've had 3 casts now, and we've had 2 fish. Basically the first cast went round after 4 minutes. Second cast I left it in for the 8 minutes, not a sign. And then the third cast again went round after 3.5 minutes. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the time back for the cast to around about 6 minutes. And also because we've had these 2 fish reasonably quickly, I am going to start pinging that bomb line, so about 20 metres. Out to the little island here into the open water. I'll do that from, you know, probably a good couple of hours. It's about 12 o'clock now. We didn't sort of start fishing until late. So start pinging some pellets there. We'll have another look on that after a couple of minutes. We'll get back fishing. Obviously if we stop seeing signs we can just move our way up along the island and chase the fish. Let's get back to fishing, start pinging a few pellets. 2 chucks now for 8 minutes. And no signs. Previous to that we'd had 3 fish and 4 casts. First 2 fish came on 4 minutes. Third fish on the 4th cast came on 6 minutes. So obviously what's happening is the bite times now are getting longer, as if the fish are backing away from the bait or backing away from where we've caught them. So before I make a move, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try the green betaine pellets, and then what I've done is I've just knocked up in my little working tub here some normal 2mm scretins, some betaine pellets and a little bit of method mix, just to see whether we can get a response on this same line before we put 2 metres on and chuck further along the island. Right, so just a little tip, these pellets now are just starting to dry out, so if you haven't got a tub of water on your side tray, just pick up your landing net, dunk it in the water, shake the thick off, and then just literally shake a little sprinkle of water over your micros so you get like a nice even spread. What that does, spin your hand through them, it just gives you back that binding power. So as you can see there, and the pellets are lovely now again. They're not over wet, just a little sprinkling of water. and they're back to binding perfectly. Right, so we've had them 2 8-minute chucks again, one with the green betaine and one with our little mix with a bit of Method Mix green betaine and normal micros in. No signs at all. So basically what I'm going to do before I wind this in, I'm just going to peel 2 metres off my spool, so undo my clip, peel 2 metres off, and then basically what I'm going to do is chuck 2 metres past where I'm fishing currently, just a bit further along the island, because the feeling is that the bites have extended in time. Then we've had nothing for 2 8-minute chucks, so basically the fish have backed away now. So open my bail arm, undo my clip, peel 1 metre, 2 metres, and then basically replace that clip again. Wind it in. And what we're going to do basically, we're going to go back to our original micros with the expander again, because obviously we've caught 3 fish on that, but we're just moving 2 metres further up the island. A little bit of muck on the hook there, but as you can see, it shows the expander is still on that hook. So it just shows you that basically, you know, people worrying about the expander coming off, if you use good expanders, a nice big 14 Kaizen stays on lovely. This sun's right in my eyes, I can hardly see. That's perfect. So lovely, just hit the clip, feather it in, nice little plop, then you've got yourself a nice little parcel of bait on the bottom. Sink that line. Let's wait for a bite. So because I've been casting about every 8 minutes, what I've been doing is, when I've reset the trap and re-chucked out, I'm just picking up 3 or 4 pellets, and just pinging them out about 20 metres, doing that twice, sort of every 8 minutes. We've been doing that now for about an hour, so another hour doing that and we'll chuck the bomb over that and see if we can snare 1 or 2. But hopefully by backing away across this island, hopefully we might get another couple of carp on this method. We've got, I would say, another 10-15 metres to go yet. There's a guy on peg 8 opposite, and he's actually casting probably to the end of my peg, if you like. So I'm hoping that he's going to push fish my way. That's why I haven't gone to the extremity of my peg. I've basically just gone halfway along. Now I've just gone a couple of metres, see if we get another couple of fish, and then I'll work my way to the extremity of the peg. But hopefully, like I say, that guy on peg 8 will push them fish back towards us. Right, so we've made that move, the extra 2 metres up the bank, and we've had another fish, so we've got 5 fish now. I had 1 cast without a bite, and then the next cast I just went a little bit tighter to the island and it's brought me a fish. What I have noticed though is the bite time, it was 10 minutes that last bite, so I think basically what I'm going to start to do is just leave that method in for 10-12 minutes now. Seems like the fish, you know, the first 2 bites came after 4 minutes, but then the last bite, obviously they've got longer and longer and longer. The last bite's been 10 minutes, so I'm going to start leaving that feeder in 10 to 12 minutes. I'm still pinging these pellets at 20 metres. I've been doing that now for about an hour and a half. So obviously maybe another half an hour we'll have a look on that bomb and pellet line, just see if we can get another fish. We've still got loads of water to explore yet. You know, we've got another 10-15 metres along that bank to explore yet, but hopefully by casting in that shallower water, just brought me a fish there, so I'm going to chuck back there again. Hopefully we'll get another one. So there we go, back into that shallow water again. We've hooked another one, so this is number 6. So that move, as I say, a couple of metres up the bank, but then just basically what I've done is I've just cast tighter to the island into the shallow water. This fish is running towards us. Don't think it's a big fish. Nice little stocky carp, about a pound. So yeah, as I say, basically making that move a couple of metres up the bank but then tighter into the island, and we've started to get another couple of fish. So nice little stocky, that one. So we'll just keep plodding along with what we're doing, keep feeding that bomb line, keep chucking tighter to this island, and then when the bites dry up we'll put another 2 metres on and we'll just chuck a little bit further along the bank. But there's another 3 lads on the lake and I haven't seen any of them catch a fish yet, so we're not doing too bad. You know, we've had 6 fish now. Still on a formal expander. And still with just normal 2mm Skretton's micros. Can be deadly in the spring. Fishing an expander on the method can be absolutely deadly. As I said, I think they just avoid them harder baits. It's just, if you think about it, it's just basically like fishing on the pole. You know, where you'd be setting a little trap with your micros, fishing a soft pellet over the top. We're just basically doing exactly the same but with the method. Again, same area. Just in front of that grass, tight as to the island as I can get with this wind. It's horrendous, this wind. I've lost my cap off once. I'm absolutely freezing as well. It's really cold, even though it's a westerly, it's really cold, this wind. But hey ho, we're getting a few bites, so we'll just continue on. Right, so basically I've peeled another metre off me clip and chucked tight the island. I've had a good run of another 6 fish now. So I've been pinging this bomb line in this open water now for about 3 hours. So I'm just going to pick up the bomb rod and have a couple of chucks over where them pellets are, just see if there's any fish settled on a bit of bait. So we'll pick the bomb rod up, just wait for that wind to drop. Just repeat that process. Two pouchfuls again of 8mm. Should I say 2 pouchfuls of 4. Chuck that bomb over them pellets. Sink our line and just see whether there's any fish settled over where we've been feeding for 3 hours. Probably fed about 1/4 pint of 8mm. Just been pinging 3s and 4s twice every 10 minutes. We'll give this sort of 20 minutes. If we don't get any signs, we'll drop back onto that method. We've got another probably 10 metres along that island to search yet for some more fish. So if this doesn't work, we'll drop back onto there and hopefully snare a few more. Might peel another couple of metres off on the method line and just chuck further along the island. Right, so we've had 20 minutes on that bomb line, no signs whatsoever, so that tells me a story that it's too early yet for fish to be drawn to the noise. They're probably actually backing away from it, but it's a throwaway line. It hasn't affected anything to do with our method line at all because it's in open water to our right at 20 metres. So we're just going to drop back now. Obviously we've had a little rest on that method line, so we're just going to drop back now onto the method line. Same bait again, 4mm expander on the hook. It's been the best bait today, every fish has come on it. We've had 10 or 11 fish. So let's see if we can have a nice run just to end the day. We've got probably a good hour fishing left. So back to the method. Pinch your micros, make a little hole. Drop our expander in it and then just gently cover it with a few more micros. Always make sure with that snap-link swivel that I tie up on my elasticated feeder stems is inside the feeder so we get that bolt effect that we showed you. Sink our line nice and tight to that island. That's it, rod set. Make a note of the time. We'll leave that in for like 10 minutes now. There you go. So we've dropped back onto that line after going on the bomb line for 20 minutes. So we'll give it like 20 minutes rest. I've chucked out and that bite's come bang on 6 minutes, so that's been in 6 minutes and we've got another one. So it just shows you, like today, that they haven't come to the noise of the pellets. And by giving that line a rest and not chucking to our maximum in the peg, you know, we've kept a few fish coming all day. This will be like fish number 12. Not a massive fish, again, probably about £2. Welcome on a freezing cold, windy day. Fish number 12, another £2 mirror. And again, hooked perfectly in the bottom lip. 4mm soft expander, few micros on the hybrid, absolutely perfect. So we're just going to continue on with the session now. We'll probably peel another couple of metres off if we don't get any more signs. Have another half an hour and then we'll call it a day. Cracking little fish, brilliant day's fishing. There's one again. So we've chucked out again there and it's gone round within less than 2 minutes. So it just shows you giving it that little bit of a rest has worked perfectly. It's just let some fish gather back on that bait that we left in the peg. And we've had 2 fish, one after 6 minutes and then this one after 2. So hopefully we might get a nice run of fish now before we pack in. Feels like a slightly bigger fish, probably 3 or 4 pounder again. Oh, first common of the day. Nice common, looking about. Shocking net in there. Nice common, about £3. Get it in the net. Beautiful. Look at that for a beautiful common. Absolutely cracking. So there you go. We've had 15 fish. Great day's fishing, considering there's been another 4 or 5 people on the lake. I think the most that's been caught is 2 carp. So we've had 15 carp. Great spring day, method feeder fishing. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget, scoop them in your net.